What's going on, guys? I'm RSB. Wait, hold on a second. What's going on, guys? I'm RSB, and welcome back to another Minecraft Bedrock farm tutorial video. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new farm that resides here in the Nether on top of a Nether fortress. This farm produces many items and various different items at that, and a lot of these items are very useful. As you can see here inside of this chest, just from an hour AFK session, I was able to get almost 5.5 stacks of coal, almost 8.5 stacks of bones. I was almost able to get 2.5 stacks of arrows, and I was almost able to get 3 stacks of blaze rods. I was also able to collect 19 wither skulls, which are going to be very useful for summoning the wither and getting beacons, especially if you're playing a Let's Play survival world. And you're also going to get some magma cream and maybe even a few gold ingots and gold nuggets in here. This farm also does produce a bunch of other excessive items that I consider garbage and I usually will filter out. However, they might be useful for some. You will get a ton of stone swords here. These stone swords I'll usually just put in an auto dispenser and drop them into the lava below the fortress. However, it is useful to get the bows here because you're able to use these bows to craft up a bunch of dispensers, and you might even get some enchanted bows that might be worth keeping. You will also get some golden swords and some rotten flesh from the pigmen dying. These golden swords and also the golden armor can be smelted down and get you some more gold. If you are able to store all of these bows, then they are very handy to have in order to make dispensers. Now that they have added into the game that you're able to make dispensers with a damaged bow. However, if you don't need the dispensers, don't need the bows, don't need the swords, then feel free just to toss all that into lava. And if you don't feel like smelting down any of the gold stuff, that can go in the lava as well. Generally, the stuff that I keep is the stuff inside of this chest here. I have ran this farm on the realm that I am on for quite some time and have had a huge amount of success with it, and it is a really great farm to have. Whether you're early game or late game or even mid game, you are able to get a load of different materials, and it is really nice to have a renewable source of coal that you can just fuel up all of your furnaces or whatever else you're going to use coal for, such as torches. So with that being said, you can look down below us and you can see that we do have some mobs in there, a couple wither skeletons along with some blaze. The way that this works is the gold block is actually the marked out spawning block on top of this nether fortress, and this is the only spot to where these guys are going to spawn at. They spawn on the designated spawn block into this glass. Spawning into the glass automatically pushes them out, and then they fall down to the bottom where they meet a trident killer. This trident killer kills them very quickly, getting them out of the mob cap and freeing the mob cap up for more spawns to occur. We do also have some coral fans down here. This coral fan is there to trick the occasional small magma cube that spawns there into thinking that these are blocks to where they can hop off and down into the trident killer they go. You do notice that there is a cactus to the side there. That cactus is there for the larger magma cubes. You will get a full-size magma that will spawn in here that will take up the entire thing. That cactus job is to sit there, and it will deal damage to the magma cube until it breaks down and is able to fall down into the trident killer. That sticky piston is constantly going back and forth. This is made to take care of the blazes because the blazes will spawn here, but they do get stubborn and they don't want to fall down into the trident killer. This sticky piston moving back and forth, as you can see, is moving that glass back and forth, and it's going to move the blazes down and put them into position so the trident killer can take care of them as well. You will get the occasional blaze that wants to hover kind of between the two. However, if they go up or down, then they will eventually end up inside of the trident killer and they will fall to their death. That being said, you will get the occasional magma that does escape here. Having this all made in glass allows them to kind of glitch through it. However, if they do glitch through it, they will typically jump off of the fortress and land into the lava, and then they will fall all the way down there, which is going to make them despawn and take them out of the mob cap anyways. If you don't want them to be able to glitch through, you can change out this glass with solid blocks and also make it too wide. That way they're not able to glitch through it. However, with them falling off and falling into the lava, it hasn't really been an issue for me, and I have not ran into any of them really hanging up the spawns. So, with that being said, let's move into a new world and I'll show you how to build this. To build this, you're going to need everything in the chest here. With that being said, everything in the chest here is to build one of these modules. So if you're wanting to build two of them side to side like I have here, you're going to essentially need to double everything in this chest. The only things that you're really not going to need to double is going to be the glass panes and the stone slabs. Everything else you're going to really need to double these numbers if you're going to want to build two of these. That being said, you're going to need a half stack of nether brick blocks or whatever other building material block that you would like. However, redstone does have to be able to pass through this. You're going to need 2 of the fan coral. With only needing 2 of them, you can probably just go and harvest 2 out of a warm ocean. However, I do have a tutorial for a coral fan farm if you feel like building that. I do recommend building that if you do build my creeper farm because it does use a large amount of the coral fans. However, if you want to build that, it's very fast, easy, cheap, and efficient to build. However, just needing 2, you can either go with that or just go and harvest 2 of them. Either way works just fine. If you are interested in that coral fan farm, I'll link it on the top right now for you to have a link for it. Moving on, we're going to need 5 observers, 4 regular pistons, 1 sticky piston, 1 marker block. This marker block has to be any block that a mob can spawn on. So if you use a block of gold, that will work just fine. However, something such as glass or leaves, mobs cannot spawn on, so that's not going to work. It has to be a block that something can spawn on. And depending on your nether fortress, you might need 1 or 2 levers. If you set up the farm like I have it here, 1 lever will work. However, if the farm is any further apart, you're going to need 2 levers, or you're also going to need some redstone to connect both of the trident killers to 1 lever, depending if you want them hooked up to 1 lever or 2 levers. You're going to need 1 trident per farm, bare minimum. If you have more tridents laying around, the more you put in here, the more efficient it's going to be, but you're going to need at least 1. You're going to need 1 piece of sand. You're going to need 2 stacks of slabs. It doesn't have to be stone slabs or smooth stone slabs. It can be any slab that you would like, as long as you can place down a bottom slab to keep spawns from happening. You're going to need 1 rail to temporarily put down your hopper minecart. You're going to need a hopper minecart. You're going to need 6 chests to make the 3 double chests. However, if you want to add more storage, you're going to need more or less depending on your setup. And also the same with hoppers. You're going to need at least 4 hoppers. However, if you want more storage, then you're going to have to add more hoppers as well. You're going to need at least 32 glass, 4 droppers, 1 cactus to go on top of the sand, and then you're going to need at least 2 stacks of glass panes. I'll show you what to use these glass panes for in a minute. All of these rates were achieved using a looting 3 sword, so I would highly recommend using a looting 3 sword. It does not have to be netherite, it can be any sword you would like as long as you have the looting 3 on it. This is going to really increase the drops that you're going to get from this farm. With that being said, let's jump into this new world and get started building this thing. If you look in front of us, you'll notice that there's a lot of spawns in front of us, and the reason for that is because this is really the only place that mobs can spawn inside of the area. Now this farm is designed for a simulation distance of 4, which is what I am planning on. However, you can design it on whatever simulation that you would like. However, you are going to have to mob proof further and further away depending on how high your simulation distance is. If you're building this on a realm, your simulation distance is going to be locked in on 4, and that's primarily what I designed this for. If you're building this for a simulation distance of 4, then you need to mob proof all of the blocks that are within a 45 block area from your AFK platform. That's 45 blocks to all sides, and also up and down. And remember, if you do have a roof above you, just because that's the roof doesn't mean that you don't have spawning locations up there in caves or anything like that. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing your AFK platform. And if you're not getting the rates that you think that you should out of this, then you probably have mobs spawning somewhere else. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to completely level this fortress all the way down to level 61, which is the block that I'm standing on now. I'm going to remove all of these sides and also remove this end spawner and everything else that we have going on here at the end, where everything ends up to level 61. So let me take care of that and I'll be right back. Alright, so what you want to do once that is all leveled out, you want to go ahead and grab your glass panes here, and you also want to grab your smooth slabs. And these places down here, if you have these on your fortress, you want to go ahead and just cover these up. This is going to keep things like the magma cubes and stuff like that from spawning here, and it's also going to keep the pigment from spawning here. Once you have done that and you have taken care of all of these spawn spots down below, you are probably going to have to fight off most all of these mobs. It's going to be the most difficult thing of doing it in survival mode. What I would recommend doing would be going to about 50 blocks from the end here and just breaking this to where these mobs are not able to walk across and get to you if you're inside of survival. And that's going to keep these mobs from being able to run over here and attack you. It's not really going to keep the ghast or the blaze away, however it will keep things like this and the skeleton away from you. So let me go ahead and take care of all of these mobs real quick. And then the next thing we are going to do is we are going to lay down all of our glass panes. So what you want to do is you want to place down a glass pane there, and then you want to place down one on top of it, and then break this, and you're going to make a wall of glass panes going all the way across. I know that the panes can be a real pain to deal with, however this is very necessary for this part of the farm. Having doing this part inside of a survival world before on the realm, I can tell you that it's not the easiest to do while having all of these mobs constantly after you. But it is definitely doable. Just make sure that you have plenty of fire resistance potions just in case you fall off the edge here. So once you're done placing down your glass panes, it should look something like this. Depending on how many of these farms you want to put in, and your fortress design depends on how many glass panes you're really going to want to put down. But what you're wanting to do is basically lock these mobs into place where they spawn at. That way we can find exactly what block they are spawning on. If you're building just the two farms on the end, you probably don't need to put down this many glass panes. However, you do want to be able to find at least two of these spawning spots to have a decent amount of rates out of this farm. Alright guys, so once you've laid down all of these glass panes, what you want to do is you want to go out of this area and you want to go at least 45 blocks away from the farthest glass pane that you have. That way everything can despawn inside of the area. Once you have done that, you can come back over here, and you want to come to the very end here and find exactly where you want your AFK platform. Your AFK platform needs to be at least 45 blocks away from land in every direction, and you want to build out towards that location. You want to grab a block that you have a lot of, such as dirt or some sort of block like that, and you want to build out at least 30 blocks. So 1, 2. Once you have built out about 30 blocks, you want to sit out here and you want to AFK for about 5 to 10 minutes. And if you are in survival mode, I would highly recommend building some blocks around you, maybe some glass to keep ghast from shooting at you and seeing you all the way out here. And you also want to make sure that nothing follows you out on this bridge as well, because they can knock you off into the lava. With that being said, this would probably be a good time if you have a fire resistance potion to use it now. And whenever you're building this out, don't forget to hold the crouch button to where you can crouch, that way you don't fall off of the edge by accident. Okay guys, I've AFK'd out here for a couple minutes and I can already see quite a few spawns taking place over here. What I want to do at this point is I need to find out exactly what block these mobs are spawning on. And the reason I say that is because you can see that they are spawned inside of one of these squares for the glass pane. However, if you look at the blocks directly below them, they are actually in the center of 4 different blocks. And the way that we can find out what block that they are spawning on is knowing that mobs are going to spawn to the northwest of blocks. So the way that we need to find out what direction the northwest is there's a few different tactics. You can use a locator map. If you have a locator map, the arrow pointing up towards the top of the map is always going to be north, and then you can find out your locations using the locator map. You can also bring a sunflower into the nether. So if you grab a sunflower and you also grab some dirt, you can bring these into the nether and place the dirt down, and you can plant a sunflower in here. These sunflowers, regardless what dimension that they are in, the overworld, the nether, or the end, they are always going to face east. So if to the right is east, we know to the front of us is going to be north, to the left of us is going to be west, and to the back of us is going to be south. So that's going to be another method of finding out our direction. The third method that I would recommend, which is the one that I use the most, is going to be using your coordinates. If you look at the top left, I have my coordinates enabled. If you don't have these enabled, you can enable these inside of your setting menu. You can go into your settings, and then go into game, go down to show coordinates, and just make sure that that's toggled on. The way that the coordinates work is you have your first number, which is 677, that's going to be X. The middle number, which is 61, is going to be Y. And the last numbers are going to be 2506, that's going to be your Z coords. So it's going to be X, Y, Z from left to right. That last number is going to be your Z coordinates, and that's going to mark your north and south coordinates. So if we go forwards and we see that number going into the negative, we know the Z chord going towards the negative is going to be going effectively north. And we know if that Z chord is rising, we know it's going to be going south. We can use that to find out our direction as well. So if we place down a piece of dirt and a sunflower, and we see that number is going down, that's going to be north. We can double check that against our sunflower here, which is facing east. If east is to the right, then that's going to be north in front of us. So if we have 4 blocks here, and we have the mobs that are spawned in the dead center, we know that the mobs are going to spawn in the northwest, which is going to be north this way, and west this way. So we know if they're spawning on the northwest block, then the spawning block is going to be here because they spawn in the northwest corner of the block. If we are on this block, the northwest corner would put them over here. This block, the northwest corner, would put them over here. And this block, we know the northwest corner would put them over here. The only block that's going to put them in the center is going to be this one here. With that being said, we can find out the block that they are spawned on. So we can go ahead and remove all of these that are surrounding our 2 sets of mobs here. So once we have removed these glass panes at the end here, we can go ahead and kill all of our mobs that are inside. After you've killed all of your mobs, you want to go ahead and grab your marker block. And we know this block here, if they spawn in the northwest corner of it, is going to place the mobs right inside of our glass pane area. So we know that this is essentially their spawning block. And we could do the same thing over here. Go ahead and kill all of the mobs that are inside of your glass panes. And we know if we spawn the mob in the northwest corner, it's going to put them right inside of the glass panes. So we know that our spawning block is this block here. These spawning spaces inside of the fortresses are going to run almost in a line in most cases. Some of the bigger fortresses can potentially have 2 spawning spots right next to one another. So keep that in mind whenever you are marking these down. Since none of these other spawning spots matter and I'm only focusing on these 2, what you want to do at this point is you're going to want to remove all of these glass panes, and you're going to want to place lower slabs down to keep all of the other mobs from spawning. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll be right back. So at this point, all of your glass panes should be removed, and you should have all of your lower half slabs placed down to keep the mobs from spawning. At this point, you shouldn't be dealing with any other spawns. Keep in mind, if you see ghast around, they can spawn on other blocks. However, they don't just spawn inside of the air. You do actually have to be close to a block for a ghast to spawn, just like a phantom in the overworld. The ghast will not just spawn in thin air, so if you don't have any spawnable blocks around you, you shouldn't have to worry about any of the ghast spawning. Now that being said, you should at least still keep a lookout for them, that way you don't get knocked off of the fortress. And you want to go to each of the gold blocks or whatever marker block that you used, and what you want to do is face north, which we know this is north because we have our Z coordinate going down towards the negative. And you want to knock out this slab towards the north and towards the west and then the northwest. Then you want to go to your other marker block and knock out this block to the north, to the west, and to the northwest. So you should have a 2x2 area on both of these. If you leave slabs here, this is going to keep mobs from spawning, and it's also going to keep them from falling down into the trident killer. So once you have done that, you want to go ahead and knock out these 3 blocks underneath the slabs that you just removed, and you want to bring this down by 2. And then you want to do this on the other one as well. So knock out those 3, and then the 3 below that as well. That way it's 2 blocks deep. After you have done that, you want to take out the entire slab ring all the way around this 2x2 hole. And you want to do this on both of these areas. If your fortress is similar to mine, be very careful that you don't misstep and fall in. Once you have done this, you are going to dig this down by 2 as well. Again, making sure that you don't fall down below the fortress into the lava. And you also want to remove the block that's underneath your marker block. Be careful not to break your marker block. You can also go ahead and place down a slab on top of your marker block for the time being. That way you don't have any spawns occurring. And then you want to do the same thing on the other side, removing these, making a 2-block deep hole all the way around. So you should have an area that looks just like this. At this point, you want to go ahead and grab your regular pistons. Once you have done that, if you're looking at your marker block here, to the block to the right of it, you want to drop down and you want to place a regular piston here. And then you want to go towards that regular piston, turn left, and place another regular piston here. And then you're going to go over here, turn left, and place another regular piston here. Turn left one more time and place another regular piston here. You want the pistons to be lined up in this order here. That way they are able to push the trident around completely in a circle. If your fortress is kind of like mine, you might have to grab some nether brick blocks and build this out a little bit more in order to place down all of these redstone components. Alright, after filling in the rest of the fortress here, you want to go ahead and fill this side in with pistons too. Again, if you're spawning blocks on the left here, you want to go to the block to the right and place your piston down there. Go and place a piston directly underneath your spawning block here. Go forwards, turn left and place another one here, and then turn left one more time and place another one here. Again, you want to make these pistons orientated in such a way to where whenever they fire, they're going to be pushing the trident around in a circle. They should be spaced just like this. Once you have done that, you want to go ahead and grab your filler block. In my case, it's going to be the nether brick block. And I'm going to fill in these blocks all the way around these pistons here. And make sure that you fill in the one under here as well. And it should look just like that. At this point, we're going to go ahead and break these 2 blocks here. That way we can place in all of our redstone components. So what we want to do now is take our nether brick block and place 4 here, one on top of each piston. You want to grab your droppers and place a dropper in each corner. So 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. It does not matter which way they are facing. However, if you don't like the ticking noise that the dropper makes for the trident killers, then you can go ahead and change these out for a powered rail, and it will work just fine. However, the powered rail is going to be substantially more expensive, so for this demonstration, I'm just going to use the droppers. Once you have installed the droppers in each of the 4 corners, you're going to grab your observer, and you're going to crouch place an observer facing into that dropper there, observing it. And you want to make sure that your arrow is facing away from that dropper and into the solid block. And then you're going to do the same for all of the other 4 droppers. When you get done, make sure that all of your arrows are facing all the way around in a complete circle. Once you've done this, let's move on and do the same thing to the other side. Go ahead and fill in all of these blocks that are next to the piston, bringing it up 1 level. Go ahead and place your solid blocks directly above each of these pistons. Place in a dropper in all 4 corners. And place down an observer, observing all of the droppers in a complete spiral. Once you guys have both of your trident killers installed, they should effectively look like this. And you want to make sure, again, all of these arrows are pointing inside of a spiral for each of these modules that you make. If these are not pointing inside of a spiral, then the signal is not going to go around and it's not going to keep the trident killer working. So at this point, what you want to do is you want to find the block between these two droppers, and you could use either one of these. However, I'm going to use this one because it's closer to this little side path here. And you can go ahead and remove this slab, grab your lever, and place your lever down right here. This lever, whenever I power this block, is going to power each one of these droppers next to it. And whenever you turn it on, it's going to start the trident killer momentarily. And then whenever you unpower this block, it's going to have these trident killers running in a complete circle. You want to make sure that both of these continuously run while they go into a complete circle. That way it pushes the trident around like so. If they are not running in a complete circle like this, it's not going to push the trident around in a circle, and the farm will not work correctly. Go ahead for the time being and shut off this lever. At this point, you want to go ahead and grab your sticky piston, and you want to grab your last observer, and you want to go on top of this observer that's right next to your spawning block, which is this arrow here, and you want to crouch down and jump and place an observer down. You want this red dot facing up, which means that the observer is observing the observer directly below it. You want to do this for each side. So this observer here, which is right directly next to your spawning spot here, you want to crouch, and you want to jump and place an observer facing down, watching that observer with this red dot facing up. Once you have done that, you want to take your sticky piston and place your sticky piston down, facing towards your spawning block in this direction, but make sure your sticky piston is directly on top of that observer. You want to do this on both of these observers, and make sure again that they are facing the spawning block, just like so. Then you can go ahead and grab a piece of glass, and then place a piece of glass on the head of each sticky piston. So once you get done with that, it should look just like this. You can go ahead and turn on that lever, and you can see that the trident killer will power these observers, powering these sticky pistons, which will move back and forth. These sticky pistons are going to be what push the blaze off and force them into the trident killer below. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And the next thing that we need to do is going to be grab our sand and to grab our cactus. And you want to go to one of your killing chambers here, and directly next to your spawning platform here, you want to remove this block here and place a piece of sand here. This piece of sand is considered a solid block, and the redstone signal will go through this solid block and continue inside of a circle, just like the nether brick would. Then you want to select your cactus. The cactus is going to be placed down on this piece of sand here. However, a cactus will not grow next to any blocks that are next to it. However, you are able to have blocks that are catty-cornered from it in any of the corners. It just cannot be in any of the cardinal directions from the cactus. If you try to place your cactus here, it's not going to place on the sand, so what you need to do is remove the blocks next to it. In my case, it is this slab here, and then you can go ahead and place your cactus down. You want to do this on both of your killing chambers, so the same thing here. Remove your slab, and this is your spawning spot. You want to go ahead and remove this nether brick block, and you want to place a piece of sand here. Again, you have a slab here, so you're not going to be able to place down your cactus unless you remove that slab. Then you can place your cactus down. You want to make sure that this cactus is directly next to your spawning block, just like so. So once you have done that, you want to go ahead and grab your glass, and then we can start putting our glass in. What you want to do is you want to place your glass down and around here, and then on the bottom here. Then you want to come up and bring this up by 2 layers, just like this. You don't want to place any glass in the center here because this will keep the mobs from being able to go into the center, and it will also keep this piston from being able to extend like it should. Then you can go ahead and place a piece of glass here, and then 3 more pieces here to put a roof on top of this. And then you want to build the glass around here. However, if you go ahead and place a piece of glass next to this cactus, it's going to break the cactus. So keep that in mind. You can't have any blocks next to this cactus that's inside of a cardinal direction. You can, however, place a piece of glass on top. After you place a block of glass on top, you can bring this over and you can place it down on top of this dropper. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and break this slab because there's a hole here where mobs can come out of. So you want to go ahead and place a piece of glass here and just make sure that this thing is pretty much entirely encased in glass. You can also keep some glass on the corners here and here. On the back half where this cactus is, on the last corner, what I like to do is grab a few more slabs, and I'll place a lower slab here and a lower slab here. This is going to keep mobs from spawning on these two blocks here, since we cannot put a block next to the cactus. Go ahead and repeat the same steps on this one over here. This is pretty much going to take care of half of the farm. What we need to do now is work on the lower half. That's going to be our item collection system. So what you want to do with that is you want to come to the side here and you want to build down. If you find it easier, you can break the glass and work your way down that way. However, I'm going to come on the side here and I'm going to build in on each one. So if you come on the side here, what you want to do is come underneath this observer here and you want to break this block, jump down here, and you want to basically break your way into one of your chambers here. Then you can go ahead and remove these 3 blocks. These 3 blocks underneath the pistons are going to be your floor blocks, so keep that in mind. And then you want to break these 4 blocks directly underneath it, just like so. These are going to be where your hopper minecart is. And then you want to break these 4 blocks as well. Be careful not to break the block if you're standing on it, because you might not have any nether brick underneath you and you might fall down into the lava, so be very cautious. Once you have 3 blocks below the pistons, you are going to now dig out towards the area that you just broke and came into. And this is basically going to give you a way to put your hoppers facing out towards the outside where you can make your item collection system. So at the very end here, you want to place down a nether brick block. You want to grab your 2 hoppers. And you want to crouch place 2 hoppers into that block, just like so. This final hopper should end up inside of your trident killer. And then you can take your nether brick block and fill in the remaining 3 here. Once you have done that, you can go ahead and grab you a rail. And you can go ahead and grab you a hopper minecart as well. You want to crouch and place a rail on top of that hopper, and then you want to place your hopper minecart on top of it. Then you want to go to the side here and dig down by 2, where you can drop down, select the hitbox of this rail, and go ahead and break that rail out from underneath it, and then build yourself back up, and then fill these 3 remaining blocks in, and then place another remaining block right there to box this hopper minecart in and keep it from moving. Once you have done that, you can go ahead and work your way towards the outside here and replace the 4 blocks for your floor. Make sure that these are level with the bottom of your piston, and this will basically push the items around in a circle where this hopper minecart is going to pick up the items, and then the hopper below it will pull it out and place all of your items into the chest, which is going to be right here. You can go ahead and fill this in, just like so. And then you can go ahead and remove all these blocks on the side here. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and just make a quick stairway up, just like so. Once you made your stairway, you can go ahead and just put the bottom half slabs on it, just to keep mobs from spawning on it. In front of this hopper here, you want to make sure that this hopper is facing this way. You want to grab your chest and place down a double chest here, just like so. And then you want to do the same thing to this side here. So we need to go in right here. And keep in mind on this side, we didn't really have much of a floor, so you might want to add a little bit of a floor before we go ahead and go in here to add all of this stuff. And then we want to bring this down by 3. And again, like I was saying before, make sure that you don't knock out the block that you're standing on, because there might not be anything underneath you. Make sure that you are 3 blocks below the bottom of the piston. 1, 2, 3. And then go to the area that you came in, break these blocks out, place you a block here, place 2 hopper crouched into that block to where they're both facing towards the exit here. And then you want to fill this in. Place down your rail here, your hopper minecart. Then you want to break 2 of these blocks. Again, make sure that you have a block underneath there before you jump down. Fall down here, select your rail, remove your rail, build back up, place in 3 blocks and build up a layer. Place a block on top of that hopper there. Walk outside of the door, that way you don't get trapped in there. And then replace your floor, which is going to be the floor blocks there. Jump down here, and then cover this up, just like so. Break these blocks, and your hopper should be facing out this way. And this is going to be where your chest goes. After you have your storage done, you can leave it like this. However, these are going to fill up pretty quickly with all of the non-stack items that come out of this farm. So you can extend this down as far as you would like, or you can extend it over. However, keep in mind that you cannot use water streams instead of the nether, so you're going to have to use hopper lines wherever you go. However, for the demonstration, I'll just remove a couple layers here so I can add some more chest and hoppers to it. At this point, the only thing left to do is go ahead and fill in the rest of all of the spawning platforms. Keep in mind, if these are fortresses that have hallways inside of them, you want to go inside of each of these hallways and you want to fill in all of the hallways entirely. Any spot that a mob can spawn, you want to place down a lower half slab on that spot. That way all of your spawns are funneled into these 2 farms. The more spawning spots that you fill, the more effective and efficient this farm will be. Once all of your spawn proofing is done, you want to go to your spawning block that is closest to where you want your AFK, and you want to count this out by 30 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. On my 30th block, I want to remove whatever excess I have left over, and I want to make a little area here to where I can make kind of like a little AFK hut to where I don't have to worry about things attacking me. And then once you get done building your little AFK hut, don't forget to spawn proof the top of it as well. You want everything spawn proofed. Now realistically, how you have this close inside of the other world, I did remove most of this with the commands. However, if you have anything this close, again, if you have anything within 45 blocks of where your AFK area is, you're going to have spawns occurring. So if this was inside of my survival world, I would have to go up there and I would lay down the lower half slabs in all of the area that's within 45 blocks of my AFK platform. Anything that is further than 45 blocks, the mobs are instantly going to despawn, so you don't have to worry about going any further than 45 blocks away. The reason why we went 30 blocks away from this spawn spot is because 30 blocks is going to allow this to start spawning mobs in. And it's also going to be where it's not far enough to where these guys are going to despawn as well. As you can see, we have plenty of mobs that have just spawned inside of here. So we want to go ahead and first of all throw in a trident, because this farm is not going to work without a trident. So throw a trident down there. I would recommend doing that before you get mobs in here. That way you don't have to kill them with the trident. And then once you have a trident down in each one, you can turn it on. And you should have the mobs instantly start to die. Again, for the most drops, you want to make sure that you are holding a looting 3 sword inside of your hand. You do want to make sure that this area is kind of secure. You don't want to ghast shooting a fireball and blowing all of this up. So inside of a survival world, I would definitely encase all of this to where it cannot be seen from the outside. After this farm's been running, we can go ahead and check in the bottom here. And we already have some coal, some bones. We got a Unbreaking 1 bow, and a few other goodies as well. Again, the stuff that I listed at the beginning of the video was from a AFK of 1 hour total. So if you AFK over here at night, ensure that you have a whole lot more stored, because whenever you return in the morning, this thing is going to be totally filled. So once your storage system is done, the last thing that you want to do is come up here and break a piece of glass here and place a piece of coral on each side of your spawning blocks. You can go ahead and replace that piece of glass and then break another piece of glass over here and place in your final 2 pieces of coral on the sides of your spawning blocks. These pieces of coral are not absolutely mandatory. However, it is going to help the miniature magma cubes that spawn here and help guide them towards the trident killer instead of loitering around on the spawn block for excessive periods of time. This is going to help the spawn rates and increase the efficiency of this farm. Well guys, that's going to about wrap up this Minecraft Bedrock farm tutorial. I hope this farm really helps you guys out inside of your Minecraft survival worlds. Please keep in mind these farms do take a huge amount of time to come up with ideas and designs for them, to put them all together, flaw test them, and work all the bugs out. It also takes a ton of time to put the videos together and work all the bugs out of the videos as well. So if you think this video deserves a like, please go ahead and slap that like for me. It greatly helps me out, and it helps the YouTube algorithm push my videos so other people can discover my channel. If you guys have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I have a ton of content on my channel, and I have all kinds of stuff from Let's Plays to redstone tutorials to farm tutorials like you're seeing right now. There's definitely something for everybody, and I would love to earn your subscription. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!